Welcome everyone to another video to What If Civilization Started Over. And today we're looking at a very unfortunate thing that's going to happen, but first we're going to see China going on an expansion rampage as they kinda just want to expand a bit more. And they will also do a lot of other things, which will be explained in a bit. But first, they expanded a bit south until they decided that they would like to go a bit more west until they met Russia. When they met Russia, they didn't have exactly the best sides of each other in mind. They thought that these two thought that they were like each going against each other was more likely than actually not going against each other. So, yep. But we do see that a small outpost over here is made after some expansions over here go well. And it will eventually come as a surprise to the Chinese that Korea is not kind of liking that they are doing all of this, and same with Vietnam. They are not very happy about this, and they're also going to expand a bit more, just to expand their borders and do a bit of, well, land grabbing, as they kind of are taking land from the kind of ruined, yeah, this guy. They take these lands and then they stop because they kind of want to focus on something else. And also, that's also because, as you can guess, somebody has completely fallen apart in the south. As the people of, you know, Burma will start to retreat from the lands and seek refuge wherever they can find refuge from. Well, seek refuge, but most of the time they are seen as pests and unwanted. And the plague will actually manage to cross over into Bangkok for a bit until it kind of stops because, well, yeah, it's slowing down drastically. As you can see, it's only taking a very weird part of the rural areas, not much else. But over here we also see that the plague kind of gets cut off, and well, how do I articulate this so I don't start to jimber jamble? Well, it starts to basically retreat from the areas it has already infected, and there's a small patch of communities that actually survived over here, but they are still very in a bad state, so they're still not in the best of states. And the plague will cross over into India, where it will rapidly spread as there are no sanitation attempts made, and nobody kind of knows what sanitation over here is. But our good old friend, what's left of Bangladesh over here, well, not Bangladesh, but these guys will attempt to kill everyone who's infected, which actually works. And even though it sounds barbaric, it actually works for quite a while, and you'll see why. As if this port over here falls, then so does basically trade with most of, well, this area and this guy. But we also see some attempts at refurbishing a few things. As you can see, the plague has receded in the southern Indian areas, but that's because most of the people over here are either dying out or have been exposed to a more weirder part of a different disease that is very similar. But after a bit of recession in Sri Lanka, it will have a big boom over here in Sri Lanka, yeah. and it will encompass the entire island before kind of taking what's left of the outskirts and shores of the island, because the shore peoples over here are, well, the shore people, shore. We also see that at some point the plague points get separated, but in the major cities it's still visible. So the ports over here and here are still being used, but they're being used not as frequently, as they really don't want to be very, uh, infected. I'm going to tweak this a bit, and there we go. And over here we also see that the plague will punch into parts of Hanoi, but they are doing the same as that one brown country in India, who is killing the people that are sick. And this actually works out for them even more, because, well, yeah, they're kind of just killing people, and as you can see, this area over here not valuable, because people that are sick are going over here. And then something very bad happens, and that is, in an attempt to make some more money, China orders contaminated food, well, non-processed products, and that completely makes them open to any and all viruses, namely the plague, and being one of the most populated by far, because like this needs to be populated. Russia doesn't have much population out here, like a few hundred people, or even in like this large enough area, there's like a few hundred, and over here it's even less. It's like a few, like tens of people, a few dozen. But in the Shaanxi region, we see that a lot of plague points will be well, discovered after the food begins to rot and stuff. Because in this timeline, we have that the plague that rots, that comes from rotting. Yeah, if things rot, it comes from them. And after hearing the news about this outbreak reaching even Korea, the people in Asia will stop trading with both Korea and China in fear of, well, being contaminated. I'm just gonna, yeah, that's better. But we are going to see that the plague will slowly begin to take its roots into Korea and northern, well, not northern, but parts of northern China, or eastern China, yeah, eastern, northeastern. But in a similar happening, we will see, yeah, these areas are going to be heavily infected with the plague, and people over here are dying in the hundreds. Not the millions, but the hundreds, just hundreds. And everyone on the coast, yeah, basically almost dead or still alive, suffering the consequences, or the few that are still able to resist the plague are trying their hardest to just survive. And yeah, the plague quickly spreads into more parts. Over here, a small town will get fully encircled before seeing no other way in surviving than just burning the dead bodies, the bodies of the dead. And yeah, that is China for you, and they're going to have a lot of problems. We're also going to see that Korea will have a similar problem, with most of the population near the northern parts is going to be infected, but they aren't going to be able to spread it any farther than just that. So Japan, you are saved, thankfully, But Manchuria, you are not. You are definitely not saved, like at all. Because well, how would you be saved if you were like part of the Manchurian area? Because people from these parts that were going in the Manchuria that were infected, yeah, as soon as they hit the colder areas, the infection began to slow down. So they kind of thought that it was a cure and started to so and so do stuff. That was until they recontracted it fully because the cold made it harder for them to kind of live there because it was harder to deal with the cold disease basically. But yeah, another wave of infection hits China, and then the southern regions begin to be infected very heavily. Farmers over here are dying in the hundreds, and we quickly see a very interesting rebellion pop up. Yes, rebellion, as in people are not liking what is happening. They are not getting their supply of food, and they would like to get their independence if possible. And well, yeah, they're just gonna do stuff. Now, China didn't have any forces out here. Wait, I'm gonna have to. So China didn't have any forces over here, but they did have some local enforcement troops. So those troops were enforcing the Chinese law. And Chinese law kind of states that if you're a traitor to the nation, you will be killed. So yeah, everyone who tried to peacefully resist the Chinese regime, yeah, they got cut down quite fast by swords and shields and axes and whatever else the old people had. But as two small groups will appear out of nowhere. The first over here and another over here in the north. The northern one will be a more Mongolian steppe tribe thing. Their largest breakaway region is going to be narrowly connected to another one that, yeah, it's just like that. They're going to have a lot of the population that is vital because, well, these are the steppes. People, yes, they're arid steppes, but there's still some good horse thing places to grow horses and all of that stuff. And we all kind of see that everyone who's in the lands over here is going to be either a horse aristocrat or just a very very messy person who has at least one horse. But quickly we see that both of these nations, wait, we'll quickly see that the forces of this rebellion will move out and connect up to their other forces, and quickly they're going to occupy all of these lands. And after a few days of movement, they're going to occupy most of the lands that they do have are going to be occupied, but the lands outside, like most of their occupied lands, are going to be like untouched. Why? They're kind of overextended. They're only getting some supplies from someone in this part of the world, namely Russia. And this guy, the guy over here, is at a better state than the other one. Namely that they kind of are making large headway, as a lot of the southern people over here in Tibet, as they are now calling themselves, the Tibetan Republic, or the Tibetan uh, clique is going to swallow up a lot of people into its into its nation, and Mongolian clique will also manage to swallow up a lot of more people, but the both are going to agree on one border, and that's proposed by these guys who are going to attempt to make a at least decent border. As you can see, it's not even decent enough to have included another piece of land. That will immediately go over to these guys, but definitely not gonna cause a border dispute in the future. But yeah, the Tibetan clique will take these lands before anything else, and a piece of these guys kinda got separated when they kinda got overextended, surrounded by enemy forces. But we see that the Mongolian clique will outpace and talk the Tibetan clique, who will give over these lands. And seeing the big thing going on over here, we're going to see a lot, and I mean a lot, of bad stuff happening. Not mainly something very bad, but somewhat close to it. First, we're going to see that the southern areas over here are going to declare their independence, as they kinda wanted to make their own nation. And they're going to be taking these lands. So I'm gonna have to color these areas in. Oh my god, no, not those. And also Taiwan is going to be their own thing, because why not? Life is good, life is hard, and what can you do when life is criminal? Yeah. So with these two economically important areas, who were basically the stepping stones for the Chinese to get trade into their nation and out of their nation as well, the people over here are not gonna be quite happy that these people kinda got like over here in the north are going to be happy, and they're gonna declare that they will join these guys in an attempt to just destabilize them and get the plague to, do numbers on them. We'll also see that this guy will manage to somehow, some way, convince these guys to make an alliance with them, which is kind of weird. But even more border regions start to declare their independence from the clique over here, the Chinese dynasty, and we see that these rebellious forces are going to slow down in their efforts, as they have decided that they would go for one massive push for the most economic and most infected lands, to make sure that anyone from here that gets infected is killed. And as soon as they hit the infected lands, they just kind of see no one, except for one man who dies in the next hour. And he's found dead, and slowly and very fast rotting smell is, well, basically he's found rotting after 1 hour of being seen and then not seen. And how is this possible? Don't ask me, I don't know. But we also see that Hanoi will take their opportunity and invade in the ports of the Chinese dynasty, and they'll try and attempt their annexation of these lands. And if you see me just focusing on these guys, don't worry, I'm going to focus on Europe in a second. But we're going to see that our good old friends, the Tibetans, will attempt to cut off the Hanoians, but the Hanoians will manage to outmaneuver them with their superior cavalry, which will give them a massive advantage in taking more land. And after the peace deal, after some time, they kind of integrate this land into themselves, and they begin iron up two of their neighbors who are currently gonna go to war. Yeah, the one is going to declare war on the other, and as you can see, some forces from this area are going to do a lot of bad stuff. Mainly going to do a lot of medieval activities, mainly killing and looting and pillaging. But after this small nation, my like unrelevant nation is subjugated, it is taken over, and then we see the further collapse of this nation, of you know who, these guys. We see two very economically important areas slip away from the grasp of these guys, the Chinese dynasty, and the first one will be this large area, who will go ahead and take a lot of the economic land and have this wheel panhandle that will in turn declare its independence in an attempt to secure whatever independence it can get and will get. But that's basically it for them. Then we see another one over here that kind of just comes out of the blue when people just are looking at them and like, why did you take infected land? You could have taken that like afterwards. But these guys are like, you look, infected land is easier to maintain. There are less people there, yet there are more people that you can kind of exploit because they want to live for a while. And then we have this one country over here who is going to appear as one country, but actually they're going to be quickly seen as two nations because there's one over here that kind of made their own thing happen, and that's this little clique that decided to declare their independence, and then they lost this area that declared its independence in a very specific way. It's basically a back and forth on what to do with these lands, and the people over here are not exactly quite happy with the current administration, so they're going to like declare independence in many different spots. Some spots are like this northern lands, and eventually even these lands over here. So this guy is massively weakened. They were basically pretty big before, but now they aren't. And China is very much weakened. We're going to see that in the peace deal, most of the wait, let me just fix the border over here a bit. A lot of the lands that were taken are going to go back over to the Chinese, but a large chunk will be left as a panhandle or area, and the Tibetans will kinda not want a border with Hanoi fearing for their lives, and will in turn just be as they are. For the Mongolians, however, for the promise that they will leave the land most of the lands that they have occupied, they want some extra lands that they haven't yet gotten to, and these are not that economically important, but they are still kind of important because they are still in the steppes, and without the steppes you can't really have anything else. So yeah, just China has this weird panhandle going towards this area, and the rest over here as well. So yeah, but before they can really do any expansion over here, they kinda hear that one of their generals has expanded for them, and then decided to carve out his own little nation in an attempt to defy whatever authority that was still left in the capital. But they don't really know why this happened. They just know that the nation over here just did this for some reason, the general. Then it's apparent that the Chinese are so weak that they must give away a lot of land, or at least some sort of, well, land to anyone who is willing to take it. We see that these lands are given independence, and then in a weird twist, a small itty piece of land on the border of these guys is going to be gifted to them. But that's right after another nation just declares independence and kind of cuts them off. And it doesn't declare its independence outright. It just kind of says to the other cliques that are over here that it is independent. Gotta kind of fix up the border a bit because I like fixing up borders. And we'll also see a few other ones, like basically let's go with this pale pink, and then reusing colors from over here. We have our first red country from here. Yeah, we have another red country, and then I'm going to reuse the blues because, well, yeah, why not? It's a very usable color, and these cliques will basically be against each other for a while. I'm gonna guarantee that, at least. And yeah, this is the cliques that are over here. Some of them aren't as strong as the others, but most are at least decently good. So yeah, life isn't that bad. There are also some other cliques over here that are less stronger than the other ones, like weaker basically, but they kind of don't acknowledge it. Let me just do some border management over here. And I will make a few more cliques, like so. There will be one over here that will be having a very weird, well, like thing. The Mongolians wanting to remain in a good stance with the new cliques, and eventually kind of annex them because they really want these lands, will grant each of these cliques a piece of land. Whether it be something like very outrageous or not, doesn't really matter for them. They have a lot of land, and most of this is in the desert anyway, so yeah. And then we see the largest of the land giveaways. We see multiple areas being gifted over to these guys in hopes to mend any relations that were like broken during like occupation times or something. And we see most of the Chinese nations are going to just stay as they are, although we do see two unite and another one with them, so this is one huge clique. And then we see a new dynasty form, and this is called the Kanai dynasty. So if you guys want to put a flag for it, you can, because this is going to be my Chinese favorite. This is going to be the new Chinese nation in my eyes, because, well, yeah, why not? And lastly but not least, we're going to have one final maybe last, I don't know, clique happening over here. And this is going to be authorized by a very certain someone to exist. and this clique is the biggest clique of them. Well, not the biggest if you consider the Xinjiang or something. I don't know. Was this area called Xing? Yeah, I think so. But most of the areas over here that are taken are in turn kind of annexed, and these areas are also annexed. And for the final thing, we also see that well, yeah, when nothing really happens except for a small land exchange by the Dutch and the guys over here. For money, these guys will be granted. For money, the Dutch will be given more land. They will do this many times until, well, yeah, they kind of buy most of this area over here, and well, they kind of just buy their way into more land, and they will also kind of expand the claims a bit in a very serious attempt to kind of take more land. We'll also see that our good old friend the Moroccans will make at least some push over here. Look at the provinces, I should update it, same with the cities map. But see you guys next time, and yeah, bye.